now, your host, Brandon Hilder. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Opening Act, podcast interview show where we interview musicians and more. I'm your host, Brandon Hilder, and on today's episode, our special guest is Damien Lovria. Damien is a aspiring professional athlete. Damien, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good, Brandon. Thanks. How about you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. Yeah, it's let's see, how's the weather today? Oh, no, the weather's not great, but you know, that's okay. I guess that's what you get for living in Montana.
It's the same for me in Minnesota right now, man. So I completely understand. It was great a couple days, and then it just started snowing on us again. So it can't make up its mind.
Dang winter.
Yeah.
Oh man, I swear, wherever I move, I can't escape it. Well, I guess we'll kind of start to get into this a little. So could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
So yeah, when you introduced me, you said aspiring professional athlete, and it's definitely accurate. I think that in a way, though, it goes a little bit further than just that. So yes, I am aspiring to be a professional athlete someday, but I'm also trying to do more than just that. I want to be a person who's able to kind of help the world in a way. I want to be one of those people that has a positive impact on this world in any way that I possibly can do that. And through what I do, especially so, because when it comes to running the events that and the road races and the events that I do, it gives me this ability to meet and interact with and make connections with so many just unique and just interesting people. I can't tell you the amount of people that I've met through doing what I do, who I've connected with on, social media, or just have become kind of like passing friends, we'll call them, because like we'll see each other again at another event, or we'll see each other around town if I'm local or whatever the case may be. But it's kind of cool because it really gave me that connection with people. And that's part of what I seek to do is kind of build connection with other people and try to help inspire others to achieve greatness. I kind of write about this every now and again on my social media posts whenever, and I tried doing TikTok for a little bit, but I'm not super great with that, just because I guess I didn't realize how much editing you have to do, and I'm not much of a go back and edit type of person. So it became kind of a challenge. But to kind of get back on track here, what I would say that I am is a person who wants to help the world any way that they can, whether that be through, being a part of these road racing events and maybe volunteering and helping out, or actually being a part of one of these big organizations such as the Rock and Roll Running Series, or possibly even doing like motivational speaking, or even training other people, getting my personal trainer's license and helping others kind of train themselves up and get to the point that they want to get to and help them achieve what they want to achieve. And it goes even beyond that. It's so much deeper than just running, and it's kind of a metaphor for what this all became to me, because what started out as a simple I'm going to do this to try and kind of help myself out here turned into so much more than I thought it was ever going to be. So yeah, it's a lot deeper than it sounds. As an aspiring professional athlete, yes, but definitely something that'll help me in a way get a platform to be able to help others too, and help give others a voice and tell their story.
So with you talking about just wanting to be just like a very motivational person for other people and wanting to help people, who would you say is like the most inspirational people in your life?
So it's interesting. This is going to sound kind of weird because I was going over this in my head for a little while, and I was trying to think, like, as of currently, the most inspirational people to me are, and maybe this sounds kind of corny, but it really is the truth. So to me, the most inspirational people in my life are the people who I've met like through these various different events, I've heard some of their stories, and they've been through such like adverse things, and they've been through so many different adverse situations, and it's affected their lives in so many different ways, but they found a way to pick up and keep going. It's not like I have like a hero or somebody I look up to. Like in that sense, it's the people that inspire me are the exact same people that I'm around when I go to these events. The people that I see that even when I watch videos of like other runners, like during these really big marathon events, that I mean, they're literally pushing themselves to the very, very edge, and they hit that point, and their bodies just give up, man. They just collapse right there at the line. And these people are so determined that they will crawl their way across the line if they have to. And you'll see other people out there with like prosthetic legs and stuff, and they're out there running. I even had a guy. You want to know? Okay, let me put it this way. I was doing my half marathon in Vegas. Now, let me tell you this. I had a guy pass me up whenever I finally kind of hit the wall in my sense of where my limit was. And this guy passed me up. He was in a wheelchair. I kid you not. And this dude flew past me. He just going. 13.1 miles this dude did. That right there is what inspires me, because those are the people that, I mean, truly, no matter what, they find a way to get it done, man. And that to me is super inspiring. And if it's in the sense of like, if there's any, like, I don't know, like celebrities or something like that, and I'm probably going to butcher this name because I'm really bad about this, but his name is Eliud Kipchoge. He is the current world record holder for the marathon. He just broke the marathon world record in Berlin back in September, I believe it was. Really super famous runner. This guy is a machine. And I mean, like, in the sense of, he has done this back to back, where he's broken this record, and then the next year he breaks another record. He just keeps going and keeps pushing himself just a little bit further to keep going as far as he can to break as many records as he can. This guy, his world record, I think it was like 2 hours, just over 2 hours for a full marathon. And mind you, that's not super, it sounds like a lot, but man, that is smoking fast. This guy was running an average pace of, I want to say, 4 minutes and 37, I think. I don't have my computer in front of me. 4 minutes and 37 seconds a mile. Dang. For 26.2 miles straight. Wow. Of just bombing it down the road, man. I don't know how in the world anybody can do something like that for that long. I mean, he's a machine. And so to me, if you ask me, is that one? He's definitely the one that I aspire to look, try to do. I try to push myself to be just like that, man. I don't know if I'll ever get that fast. The fastest I've done is 4 minutes and 57 seconds for a full mile. But if you ask me to do that for 26 miles, my legs would fall off and be left back behind me. Yeah. So, but yeah, inspiring, definitely the people around me that I see that are pushing even harder than I am, man. That inspires me for sure.
Dang, man, that is very fast, though. Just right over 2 hours. Here, let's see what it is. 2 hours, 1 minute, and 9 seconds. Wow.
Yeah. Golly, man. Yeah, man. I could not believe it. I was watching that, and I was so freaking stoked. It was just such a cool thing to see. It's just the excitement and just everything, to see someone that works so hard to get yourself to that point. And again, it's what motivates me to, and I guess in a way it does inspire me to keep pushing myself to go just as far, man. Because I don't know how old Eliud Kipchoge is. I think he's in his 40s, 50s, maybe somewhere around there.
Oh, geez.
So it's kind of like, I mean, I'm 28, so I mean, it's like, man, if I can just push myself, maybe I can get up there too. Who knows?
What was your favorite part about just like being in Vegas, like aside from the race?
My favorite, aside from the race, my favorite part about being in Vegas, I think just had to be, I think for me, just all the people that I got to meet out there, and just everyone that I got to connect with, everyone was so nice, man. Like, and maybe it's because like people are there on vacation or whatever, or, people are there to have a good time. They're not there because they're in a bad mood. I mean, if they are, they lost a bunch of money at the casino or something. But I didn't spend a lot of time even there, like in the casinos. And that was my first time in Vegas. For me, like, I was out, getting to know people, meeting people, or, taking Ubers here, there, everywhere. So I'd talk to people on the way. And it was just like my favorite thing was just the people, getting to know all these people and how easy it was to talk to all of them. Because living where I live now, and I'm not trying to dog on Minnesota or anything, don't come after me, guys, but it's just like I'm so used to being able to just kind of have friendly conversations with everyone. Because when I was a kid, my parents used to make the joke I'd talk to a brick wall until it talked back. But it's just one of those things that I'll be friendly with everyone, man. I'll talk to everyone. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you look like. It's just I want to get to know you. I want to know who you are. I want to talk to you. And it sucks when you try to talk to someone and they don't really open up to you and they don't give you that human connection. I think that's super important. So props to all the people out there, whether they were from there, wherever they were from. I mean, at least they gave Vegas a good appearance to me anyway, as far as the people are concerned.
Good. Yeah. That's really good to hear that Vegas was good for you in that sense. Did you like have a favorite thing you ate in Vegas or anything? And anything that you'd recommend to people listening?
Man, I wish I could remember the name. I have to give me a second. Let me see, because I gotta look. There was a place that so it was inside of New York, and it was this okay, there's two places. It's kind of hard. Dude, it's so hard because you're in Vegas, man. There's so much like just cool food and just everything that's there. It's hard to choose like one singular thing. But I'll give you my two favorite because we had so many different places. Let me see if I can find the name of this place. Come on, where is it at? Oh shoot, it was an Italian place inside of New York. Well, shoot, I can't think of the name of it right now. But if I find it, I will let you know. They had some of the most like just and it was so funny because it's so simple, right? But Ryan and I, we got these sandwiches there, and let me tell you, man, these things were just so good. It's all the way around. Like, I know it's hard to mess up a sandwich, right? But you got to understand, it is like when you make an Italian like sub, it's one of those things where it's like if you grew up Italian like I did, you kind of just know whenever their bread and whenever all their ingredients and everything is like actually authentic, and you're like, this is good. And we got like even the eclairs, or they had cannolis, they had everything, and so we were like, this is the stuff right here. And so it was just really good. It was an awesome place. Ryan and I had an awesome time. And then there was another spot that we went to after the half marathon that I went to celebrate when we finally did hit the casinos and get a drink. And it was called Nine Fine Irishmen. It's an Irish pub. It was also in New York. And it was the first time I ever tried a Guinness. I've never had a pint of Guinness. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a pint of Guinness. And I did. And it was not bad. I've heard a lot of people are like, man, this stuff is like dirt. It was good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. And the bartender there, I made great friends with him in the daytime before we went to the half marathon, because we went there twice, actually. We went there during the day, in the morning, afternoon-ish, and I grabbed a meal. I had some like chicken and some asparagus and rice. Like I had some really light before the half marathon event. And this guy there that I met, he was getting ready to run in the Raiders 5K because their Las Vegas Raiders are having some 5K event last weekend. And he was training for it. Yeah, he was training up for it. He'd never done one before. And so we got to talk, and I gave him a lot of really sound advice. And it was cool. I really wish I'd gotten his name and added him on Facebook or something, because I really wanted to ask him how he did. I really wish I could have figured out who he was so I could have found out, because I really wanted to know how he did in it, man. But anyway, Nine Fine Irishmen. Definitely an amazing spot. Staff are great. Food's amazing. Definitely try. What was it that Ryan got? It was, oh my goodness. He had some sandwich. I have to ask him, but it was like, I don't know. I don't want to say it wasn't a Philly cheesesteak, because that's like his go-to on everything, I swear to God. But it was some sort of sandwich there, but it was just, I mean, it just looked amazing, dude. Like, I don't know. It was great. He made me jealous, because I'm sitting there eating chicken and rice and asparagus like, oh, man, I got to eat healthy. We got to get rid of this event. He's over there just like dogging, just chowing down on this thing, man.
So, since primarily this is a music podcast, I have to ask at least one music question just to get all my fans satisfied. But what do you think was like your favorite band when you were a high schooler?
My favorite band when I was in high school. Okay. It depends on who's listening to this, because for some of the metalheads and stuff, I might catch flack for this, because they're going to be like, oh, come on, really? But for me, it was Linkin Park. It always was. It always will be. Always has been. And obviously, a lot of people know, like, everything happened with Chester Bennington, which is a super sad story. But anyhow, Linkin Park was always that band that was kind of there for me. And I think that was kind of that was that way for everyone kind of growing up. Like, that was just the thing. But when I say that I had these guys on repeat on the daily, and I knew their songs like by heart, and every single album that it was them. And then I had another one too. Okay, so all right, let me see if I can win some of these people back over here. There was another band that I still listen to this day that I also follow, and they are Rammstein. I love Rammstein to death. I love Lindemann's solo project, and I also love look at me drawing a blank. Emigrate, which is oh my god, man. See, I'm on the spot, so I'm losing it. But anyway, one of the other members, I can't think of his name right now. I do know it. I'm just drawing a blank on it. But he has his own group, Emigrate, and that band is amazing too. They're all great. I mean, that whole group is amazing. Their showmanship is amazing. I mean, the pyrotechnics are out of this world. Just what they do on the stage is insane. Their stadium tour was crazy. They were actually here in Minneapolis. I'm so mad that I did not get to go see them live because we were just moving here and it was just not financially feasible at the time. But oh man, it makes me so mad. But they're just great. Their music videos, everything they do. And then Linkin Park through high school, that was Rammstein kind of became like the pivotal moment. But Linkin Park growing up and into high school was kind of like what was there for me. The lyrics, Chester's voice in general was just amazing. And I love the big, powerful vocals, man. I love groups and bands that have these amazing, just powerful vocalists, man. I love it. Unique vocals are just one of my favorite things. And this guy, Jesus, what a voice he had. It's such a tragedy that we lost him. I still think about it to this day. And you know, the thing, I was just listening to them on my way home today. It's kind of funny. And, you know, you go back and you learn to appreciate a lot of the newer stuff that a lot of people fell off on, whenever they were kind of experimenting around and trying new things. And then of course, the new song that they just put out, Lost recently. And of course, there's now announced that there's going to be like a whole album with a bunch of unreleased tracks that are going to be coming out from the Meteora era, which I'm super pumped for. I'm also like in my feelings about it. So like, we're going to see, cause I'm probably gonna be sad, but who knows, man? Like they were definitely the thing for me growing up, but just they had that rage and those lyrics and just the energy, man. I love the energy. Favorite song by them, probably, okay. So the favorite hardcore song by them, at least hardcore to me, anyway, was Faint. I love Faint off of Meteora, track number 7. Gotta love it. And then Waiting for the End off of their more experimental album, 1,000 Suns or 1,000 Suns. I can't remember. I think it's 1,000 Suns. Waiting for the End is absolutely just one of my absolute favorite tracks off of that whole album. And in general, I love what they did with that whole sound for that track in general was just something so different, and I just love it. But there you go. That's your answer. There's the music info dump that I have to give to you. So we got Rammstein, I know all of them, and then we got Linkin Park, and I know all of them. So there you go.
Yeah, I love Linkin Park. They definitely will never get old for me. Go ahead and like turn it on in my car and just totally get into it.
You know, with my running, I use music. You know, all your music fans might love this too, to hear this. We were talking music a little bit. I use music to run to. I trained myself to run to the beat of music. I started out with like just different beats. I was experimenting with different tracks and trying to find a song that really fit, that I wanted to get energetic and pumped up to when I ran. And it ended up being like EDM music, which I know obviously when you talk to Ryan, you know, he's a DJ. I actually helped teach Ryan how to do what he's doing now. It was kind of a big thing between him and I, where we kind of bonded, and that's why we really became close as friends, and just, you know, our relationship just grew from there, man. And like I've watched this kid literally take off from humble beginnings, playing a backyard show with this little mixer that he had, you know, moving on to now he's playing these big shows all over Montana. And I couldn't be more proud of this kid, man, because he's put in so much work, and he's just worked his butt off to get to where he's at right now, and he deserves every bit of it. And so anyway, moving back, so I use EDM a lot to get myself pumped up, and I would run to the beat. And I found drum and bass music, and there was a song called Solar System by Subfocus. And I can't explain it, man. It's just like the beat itself was so just energetic and just pumps you up. And I would start memorizing the track front to back, and I used it to start training my steps to the beat, my breathing to certain parts of the beat, and it was crazy, man. I got like in complete in synchrony, and I was just gone. And some people might find it crazy. They're like, well, did you get bored of using the same track? And at first I was training myself with it, so no, I eventually zoned out and stopped paying attention to the music and just used it as a training tool. But nowadays I like create my own playlists and even mix my own mixes together to like run to. And today, just alone, I used a different style. I used Indestructible by Disturbed. It was funny. It came on this running playlist on Spotify, and I just started going, man. I was just chug it along, man. And it was just got me pumped up and just running to the beat of the drums, man. I love music. It's my whole life. It's what gets me moving every morning. If I need chill stuff, I listen to some lo-fi or put on Flaming Oasis. If I just want some really just experimental, just out there, really chill music. If I'm energetic, I'll do some EDM or some hard rock, metal or whatever. If I want to just, whatever. I have different moods and different flavors,
Oh, yeah. So when would you say you first started running?
So I first started running on February 10th, 2022. So just over a year ago. It was a pivotal point in my life, we'll call it. So I've heard this question a lot, so I'm just going to go ahead and answer it already. A lot of people ask me why I started running, and it's kind of one of those questions that, I wish that I had it's funny because I say this, but I feel like that this isn't realistic to think. I just don't know many people that are just like, well, I woke up one day and decided I want to go for a run. It was kind of one of those things where, if you had never been athletic or done anything like this before in your life and you started doing it, there's got to be a deep reason as to why. And for me, it was, I'm going to spare the details because there's a lot of more personal stuff involved. But basically what it amounts to was I was going through a really, really tough time in my life last year around this time, just a little bit, just before this because we're in March now. But it was a really rough time, and we'll just put it like this. I made some mistakes. And I made some mistakes, and as a result of those mistakes, I had faced some pretty interesting. I faced an interesting situation. I thought that I could trust somebody, and unfortunately, I couldn't trust them to handle the situation maturely, and as a result, I ended up losing a lot of what I had. Now, I didn't really get into a lot of where I came from and where I'm from and all that stuff, but I'll touch on it briefly without trying to go off on a tangent again. But so Montana, Great Falls, Montana, where I started, is not where I'm from. I said this earlier. I'm from Texas. I'm actually from Dallas Fort Worth. I have moved quite a few places and lived at quite a few different places in my life. I've lived a majority of it was in Texas. I was in Dallas Fort Worth. I was in Midland. I was even in Corpus Christi for a time. I've lived in Pennsylvania for a short while. I've lived in Florida. And then from Florida, I went to Montana. And I went there with nothing, dude. I drove out there. I was, how old? I think I was 22. And I drove out there with my car loaded up with what I had. And I had $600 to my name. And I was just trying to get out of the situation I was in at home. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to move out here. And I had a friend named Richard, who I went to high school with, who actually lived out there. He moved up there. He had some friends he met online and whatnot, and they just hit it off really well, and they ended up becoming roommates. And he moved out of his parents' house in Texas and up there. And I thought, well, that sounds fun. So I went up there, and that's where I stayed. I got there without knowing a damn thing. I didn't know who anyone was. I didn't know what anything was. I was just like, what's a Montana? I'll never forget driving in, dude. It was such an interesting experience because here I am. I'm driving my little Suzuki SX4 hatchback, and I'm driving through these windy roads that I could only describe at the time to me looked like it was something off the Hidden Valley Ranch commercials, because I'm driving through these windy roads, there's green grass everywhere, there's cows, mountains. I'm like, where am I, man? And I was like, I got to get gas. I'm going to run out of gas in the middle of nowhere. I don't know what's going to happen. I finally find this gas station, dude, and I stop, and I wish to this day, I wish I could remember where this was so I could go back there, but and it's funny, I probably passed it a million times and don't even know it because it was just so different to me back then, because your view is so skewed whenever you first come to a place. But I got there, this little gas station, and it had these gas pumps that were so old. They're like little old Texaco, with a big bubble on the top of it. And the gas pump literally was so old. It was you could just turn it on without even needing to pay, and just whatever. So I get my gas, I go inside, and I'm trying to get I didn't have any cell service. So I'm trying to get a phone to use. And I walk in there, and there's literally a radio with a coat hanger on it for an antenna. And I'm like, oh my God. And I look over, and this lady, I was asking it, do you have a phone I could use? She pulls out a flip phone, right? And I'm sitting there thinking ding, 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 ding. Where am I, man? What is going on? Where am I going to? And so I called my friends and everything, and I got there. Everything was good, but my God, what an interesting impression first coming into Great Falls, Montana, of all places. or not Great Falls, wherever I was at the time in the Great Falls. But so I was in Great Falls for like 5 years. I was working in security on an armored truck. I got to know everyone around town. I got to know like pretty much everything out there, and built a really good I built a really good like family, I'll call it, out there. People that I could really trust and rely on. Everyone kind of knows me out there. And I started to save up money. I had bought furniture, and I had 3 dogs and everything else. And that was kind of what happened. That date, that time last year, because of all the crap that happened. And I admit, like I said, I made my own mistakes in this. I'm not free of fault, but the way it was handled cost me everything I had. I got evicted from the place I was living in. And it was so sudden that I had no time to prepare. I was already kind of struggling. You all know how it is right now. I mean, it's hard for everyone. And I was working 2 jobs, and I had 3 dogs, and I mean, it was nuts. And so in an instant, it was all just gone. I mean, I had no choice. I had to scramble to try to do what I had to do to survive, because that was what I had done growing up. My whole life was, if I got to survive, I do what I got to do to survive. I go into survival mode, and it's it. And I get focused, and I just move. And so I had to get rid of my furniture. I had to start selling it off, and piece by piece, and that sucked. And then every day I started dreading, like, knowing what was coming. And the day finally came, and I had to get rid of my dogs. And it honestly broke me in half. It was, I still have trouble talking about it here and there, but you know how it is, man. Like, dogs are like well, to me anyway, dogs are like my family. They're, the only thing that I had close enough that I cared that much about, that I was looked out for. And, it sucked to have to make that decision that I had to make. And it put me in a really, really fragile state of mind for a time, we'll say. And I had a choice to make that day. And it was kind of like this. I was either going to give up, or I was going to get up. And I don't mean that like metaphorically. I mean literally. I was laying on the floor in this place, and I was just lost. I don't know what to do. And I thought it was the end for me. I really did. And I started to think back about all the stuff that I have gone through my entire life and growing up, and everything that I went through. You would need a whole separate interview and a psychiatrist to get through this if you wanted to know my whole story growing up. But I'll just say it like this. It was a really rough childhood for me growing up. I went through a whole lot of really, really bad stuff that kids should not have to go through at the age that I was going through all of this. And I'm not dogging on, okay, I'm also going to touch on this really quick, because I know my mom's going to listen to this interview eventually, and I want everyone to understand this. My mom made mistakes, and she's well aware of that. She knows that. She made a lot of mistakes, but she tried her hardest to be a good mother to me. With the tools that she had at the time, and with the know-how that she had, I just think that she wasn't as prepared as some people are to be a mother. And she would agree with that. She knows that. But she really did try her best to take care of me. And then my grandparents, they also tried to protect me and help me in all that sense. And it's just one of those things that it was rough. And so for me, I thought back about all this stuff. And I said to myself, am I really going to stop now? Am I really going to give up now? I thought about my friends. I thought about my family that I had. I thought, and it was funny because at the time, in the moment, a lot of people talk about, it's a really sensitive subject to get into, but a lot of people talk about, like suicide, and they said people will do that stuff, or, it's a coward thing to do and all this other crap. And nothing makes me more angry to hear than when someone says that. And it's because when you're in that moment, you don't think about any of that. You're not thinking rationally, obviously. You're not thinking clearly. You're not thinking rationally. And when you put yourself in that position, it's not until later. And not a lot of people make it to the later part, to where they start thinking about, well, wait a minute, what about all these stuff I have going on? What about all these people? Not everyone gets to that point. And it's a really sad and unfortunate thing that we call these people cowards, because they're not. They're suffering. They're going through a whole lot, and they're human beings, and they're hitting a breaking point. And we as a society need to understand how important it is to be more kind to people and try to actually be there for people. This is a big part of me. This is a big part of what I do. So when you ask me, are you a professional athlete? You're an aspiring professional athlete. You say you're a runner. yes, but no. I'm more than just that. I'm a person who looks at the world and says, I want to change the world. I want to make sure that when I leave, that I leave this place a little better than I found it. Growing up, everyone always asked me, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I could never tell them, right? I always knew that I wanted to do something that was important. I always knew I wanted to do something good for this world, and I wanted to do something. I wanted to do something special. I always wanted to do that. I wanted to make an impact somehow, some way. I wanted to be able to make an impact on people's lives every single day. I wanted to be able to have a job where I could do that. Whether it was I was a firefighter, EMT, a police officer, or whether I was a psychiatrist, or whether I was even a veterinarian, whatever, a doctor. I wanted to be able to impact people's lives in a positive way. And it wasn't until 6 months ago that I finally had that aha moment and realized what I was doing was going to lead me to that as long as I took it very seriously and focused hard on it. And that's where I'm at now and why I'm doing what I'm doing. But when I got into running and when I started, it was because I was in a really dark place, and it literally, and I'm not trying to discredit other people who say this because, there are other people who say this, but my answer holds a lot of weight behind it. But running literally saved my life. And now I'm trying to give back to a community that gave so much to me in the very beginning and still continues to give to me to this day. Still, I mean, the things that I get back from the people in this community is just insane. It's amazing. It would take too long, man. There's so many stories and people there's things that are so interesting to me. But
yeah,
that's why I started running. I started running because I had to do something different than what I was doing currently. And from that moment, I changed my entire life completely. At the time, I was like 187 pounds. I was completely I didn't have no muscle. None of that stuff, man. I was not a athletic person. I hated athletics. I always thought those people, like the guys in the gyms, the motivational speakers that you hear on TikTok or whatever. It's a bunch of crap. I used to think of that stuff and be like, this is dumb. This is stupid. You don't know me. You don't know what I'm going through. You don't know. You're not suffering. And then here I am, a year later, 2 years later, whatever, looking like, you idiot. It's like how, you should have realized this a long time ago, but of course you don't. So it's time to realize it. And so I went from 187 pounds and basically, never having run a mile in my life to 130, maybe 135 on a good day or a lazy day, I should call it. And I'm running, I just ran my first half marathon. So, I mean, it's a huge thing to me. It's so important. And I started running literally because I had to do something different. And from that came this.
Yeah. So, in total, how many races would you say you've ran in?
In total, I have run 7 official road racing events. My first one was the 3-mile icebreaker. I was there in Great Falls, Montana. And that was back in April of last year, back in 2022. It was the first event I ever signed up for to do, and that was kind of what kickstarted my running craze for events. Brian was there for me. This kid has been there for me through several of my events. He's been at the finish line for me. He was there for me for that 3-mile icebreaker, and he was there for me in Vegas. He flew all the way out there to see me in Vegas, come across that line. And I have the photo of me coming across the line, and I'm telling you, man, every time I look at this thing, it's packed with emotion, and it gets me right in the chest every single time. And then the photos of me and Ryan together and just everything, the experience to look back on. I'm so glad that I did it, because there were times where I didn't think I was going to. But my first one, Great Falls Icebreaker. After that came the Governor's Cup in Helena, the 5K portion of the Governor's Cup. And then from that one, I believe, what was next? I did All Nations Healthcare Center. I believe they had a 5K going on in Missoula. It was a smaller scale thing. Then I came back to Missoula the following weekend. Mind you, these are all back to back. So then I came back to Missoula the following weekend and ran the 5K portion, Tony Banovich 5K for the Missoula Marathon. Ryan was there with me on that one too. And then what did I do after that? 4, 5 was my 10K. That was also in Great Falls, kicking asphalt in Great Falls, Montana. 10K, my first ever 10K, where I actually came 3rd place overall. So out of the entire group. And what an experience that race was. I will, for as long as I live, I'll never forget that one either, because to my surprise, the course was literally along the trail of River's Edge Trail. Part of it was on River's Edge, where I trained every single weekend, where I did my long runs every weekend. And so it was super cool to get on that course and be like, oh my God, I know this. Like, let's go. I did it. And that was a cool event because I was literally up there with two friends that I made at the gym, and then another gal that was a friend of mine at the peak. I was at the peak for a long time as a gym out there. And I get on the road and we're going. I'm trying to pace this guy, keep up with him the whole race. I don't even remember what my pace was. I'd have to look, but third place overall. And I kid you not, we hit the turnaround mark. I think I was about 4-ish miles in when we hit the turnaround, and I saw nobody behind me. I was like, oh my God. I was expecting people to be breathing down my neck. I turned around, there was no one there. And man, after that, we were like 4 miles in. No one's passing me. I don't care. And I just gave it the gas and pushed even harder. And it was just what an experience to have that as a cool kind of like first. And then after that, I moved to Minnesota. That was in August of last year. I moved to Minnesota, and my first event out here was the Kowalski's 10-miler, and that was a race around White Bear Lake, 10-mile race, first ever 10-mile. That was a really tough race. I learned a lot from that one because I was just recovering from having COVID. I'd never had it before. And I was super scared that it was going to affect my lungs. It never did, thankfully. I got lucky. But I was still very scared. So I was a lot more, cautious in a way when I was running that event. And it felt like the whole race was uphill and against wind. And I was just like, this sucks. Everyone's passing me. I'm doing terrible. The whole time in my head, I was like, I hate this. I'm not doing good. I was just really psyched myself out. And then I come across the line and didn't think much of it. Okay, whatever. And I went to go check my results. This is November 6th, mind you, my birthday, my 28th birthday. I go check my results, and I was first place in my age group. First person across the line in my age group. And I was like, what? Really? So I got my first ever first place medal. Mind you, it was just age group, which isn't a huge deal, I guess, but it was a big deal to me. It was my first ever first place on my birthday, no less. And then my seventh was a Rock and Roll Running Series Las Vegas half marathon. So it's a great way to end off my first year. I would say 7 races in my first year of running, ending it off with a half marathon of 1 hour, 47 minutes.
Yeah, that's pretty good. 7 races in 1 year. Yeah. Wow. How many do you think you're going to run this year?
We're going to try to amp it up this year. So I'm already looking at one here in the next couple of weeks here around Lake Harriet. We're all Irish or something. Like there's a 10K and a 5K. I'm debating. I'm kind of teeter-tottering between. 5Ks at this point are such a breeze that I'm just kind of like, I'm over in 20 minutes, and then it feels like, that's all. So I'm thinking I'm going to do the 10 more than likely. And then we'll just kind of go from there. My next one could be anything. I mean, there could be several that just pop up in between, but my 2 big official ones that I know for a fact I will be there, they're both going to be in Montana. One's going to be in April. I'll be back for that. It'll be the Great Falls Icebreaker. I'll be there running the 5-mile portion of the Great Falls Icebreaker, where it all began for me. So I'm coming right back. And then in June, I will be coming back again. And I plan on running in the Governor's Cup, but this time I plan on running the half marathon of the Governor's Cup, which is going to be a huge challenge because there's a lot of hills. It's going to be a really tough course. So I'm really looking forward to the challenge of that one.
Good luck with all those races. Yeah. So on an average, how many hours would you say you practice per day? Yeah, just like training.
On average, I spend about 2 to 3 hours of my day training is typical for me. My schedule is kind of interesting. So I don't have so another thing about me, so I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So I have ADHD. I'm one of those people that it's really hard for me to like put myself in I'm going to do this and only this. Like, yes, it's important for me to have a routine. It's very, very important for me to have a routine, but to give myself a little bit of leeway is a good thing for me. That way, if I were to put it on paper, it would be kind of one of those things where it's like, shoot, now if I don't do it exactly like it says, I'm going to feel like I'm not doing something right. And so I put myself to a point where it's like, okay, so my schedule looks like this. So Monday, okay, and also keep in mind my schedule has recently adjusted a little bit since I did my first half. I learned a lot from that, and I'll get into that. But I learned a lot from that. But my first when I started out doing this, it would be Monday. It would be I would do my back and my shoulders and strengthening work. It's a huge thing for me. I do a lot of strengthening all over. I do full body strengthening. So my arms, my back, or my back, my shoulders, and then I do my core, so my abdomen, my obliques, and then I have a weird way of doing things. So a lot of people may not agree with this, but the way that I do my sets, we'll call it, for like my muscle building, I'll set like a timer on my phone, and I would do like 7 minutes, right? 7-minute timer, and I just go for as long as I can, because I'm an endurance person. So my level of thinking was, well, I want to build my muscle based on my endurance, and so I'll just burn myself out and go as long as I possibly can. And if the weight gets to be too much for me, I'll drop the weight a little bit and just keep trying to push and keep pushing until I run out the timer. So I do 7 minutes. I start out with my core, work over my obliques, and then I move over to start doing my shoulders and my back, and that was all Monday. And then I would end it with a run. I'd run like a 5K. And then on Tuesdays I would do cross training. So I would do like the elliptical or the bike. And then I would just do that for like 45 minutes to an hour, so that I give my legs a rest from impact running and that kind of stuff, but still keep my cardio going and give my muscles a chance to chill. Then Wednesday I'm right back into it, and I hit my arms. And I mean, I just I just kill my arms, man. I'll be in there just like going crazy. I'll do the same thing, the timers, and that's it. And I just run them through the whole routine.
Yeah, wow.
And then I'll end it with another run. So I'll do about 4 miles usually, and then on Thursday, same thing. We'll go back to cross train, and then Fridays, that's the leg day. That's the big day. That's the day where I'm just blasting my legs, leg muscles. That's the day where all the injuries happen. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but that's the day that I still struggle with, because I have to be super careful about my leg strengthening, because I'm already doing so much to my legs as it is, that it's hard to find that balance of where I need to be when it comes to leg strengthening in general, without pushing to the point that I end up hurting myself and I can't run enough, which is something I've been struggling with lately. But anyway, so Friday we'll do legs, and Saturdays would be like a long run. So I would do like super long runs, but super slow, just like long runs at slow pace. And Sunday was my only full rest. And so I'm 6 days a week, 2 to 3, sometimes even 4 hours a day. It's crazy, man. It's a very intense schedule. Not all of it is like I'm constantly just go. The hours add up, because in between the gearing up and gearing down, there's also obviously a lot of stretching, foam rolling. There's a lot of preparing, and there's a lot of, obviously, in the lifting, of course, the strengthening portion and the running portion are the two longest parts of it. But everything in between makes me have to be at the gym forever too. So,
yeah, wow, it sounds like
it's a lot, man.
You have quite a busy schedule for all the practicing and training. Dang.
Yeah. I dedicate myself to it, man. I live in that dang gym.
Yeah. Hey, that just means you're going to be performing better and better every time, right? Well, what would you say is like the best piece of advice another person has ever given you? Just like straight out advice.
This would be good. So the most solid piece, I've got a lot of advice for different people. The most solid piece of advice, Ryan's going to love this because he knows this story. So I used to DJ, obviously. I don't talk about it too much, but I used to DJ, and I got to meet quite a few really kind of interesting and some famous people. And it wasn't anything like where I was, I don't know, we'll just put it that way. I'm pretty humble about that whole experience, because I was very fortunate. I got to meet a lot of people because I had the right connections. But anyhow, I met who at the time was my musical inspiration for EDM music, or for EDM, I should say. Joshua Melody, or Zomboy is his stage name, from Never Say Die Records, who recently closed down, RIP. But so I met him after a show. I was opening up the show, and I didn't even know. It was weird. Like, it was on my birthday, so like no one told me that this was all going on, and I got to open up this show for him, and it was such a cool experience, because I was so surprised and just taken back, and I was like, oh my god, and I was like, trying not to fanboy over him. And so I'm chilling after the event's over with, and I was talking to my friend Jesse, And he comes by and like he's going to the backstage, and so he kind of lets me come with him. And the security dude, like, I guess either just wasn't paying attention or maybe just didn't care, and he let me go back with him. So I went with him, and I'm like hanging out there talking to him, and we're all just kind of chilling. And he and I struck up a conversation, obviously, and we started talking a little bit just about. I was asking him like kind of what it's been like for his career and stuff like that, and I asked him what piece of advice would you give to somebody who's looking to kind of like do something in the industry that you're in. And it was very simple advice, but it's good because it translates into everything that I do nowadays. And he said, no matter what it is, he's like, whatever you put into this is exactly what you're going to get back out of it. He's like, if you put in hard work, you're going to get so much back out of it. But if you don't put in the work, you're not going to see the results of it. You have to put in the work if you want to get there. And it was just one of those things that just stuck with me, and it followed me my whole life, like not just with music, but now in my athleticism, like, and that in the truest sense is really what it's about. I mean, what you put into this is what you'll get out of it, man. If you're in there, you're putting in miles, you're putting in the time on, strengthening, you're putting in that work, you're going to see the results of what you're doing, because it's nothing but you having to put in that work to do it, man. No one's going to do it for you. You got to put in that work to get it. And that's stuck with me my whole life. And so I think that is the most sound advice I've ever gotten, no matter how simple it is. I've heard people say to me, well, this is like really generally simple advice. Well, yeah, it's the best kind.
Yeah. But, sometimes that type of advice, it's the most important. It really just does stick.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, let's see. I love this question. Such a fun one to ask. If you could,
great. What is it?
If you could go back in time and meet one person, who would it be and why?
Oh my goodness. You really caught me with this one. I could go back in time and meet one person. That's me.
And I guess you don't have to go back in time if you just like want to meet the person right now. That's also a thing. But like, yeah.
You know what, man? I'm gonna do it up here for all my boys. I want to go back and meet Robin Williams. And I say that because Robin Williams was one of those people that just like really inspiring to me, kind of in a way of like always trying to help other people and make other people happy, make sure everyone else is okay. And it sucks because like at the time, like you don't realize that the people who are doing that are the people who also need it, because they're healers, man. And Robin Williams was such a healer. He was a healer in the truest sense. And the problem is like when you're a healer, who heals you, right? And Ryan and me always say this, the healers heal the healers. Like, it's just one of those things. But like, I just wish that I had the chance to meet him, just to experience that, just to get to see him in person and talk to him just for a minute. Because I've heard people's stories about meeting him and just how genuine he was, and just such a good experience of being able to meet him. And I really wish that I had the chance to do that, because that would have been something that I would have held near and dear to me probably my whole life, was being able to talk to that man and just kind of have that experience. So for sure, definitely my boy Robin Williams. I would love to know him.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be a quite amazing person to meet. That's for sure. So, what do you think like we can expect from you in the future as far as races, and really not even races? Just what do you think we can expect from you in the future as far as things go?
In the future, I'll put it this way, what I hope to achieve coming from myself going into the future. I hope to be able to kind of, do what I've been setting out to do right now, which is get myself to a point where I am able to, I have some notoriety. And it sounds weird saying that. I have to get used to this because I'm a very humble person when it comes to what I do. But I want to have that notoriety so that I can be able to help other people. It's not about me. It's about others, man. I want to be able to have that platform to be able to help other people get their stories out there. I want to be that person that kind of has I'm not kind of known for that. I want to be the person that's known for like being able to help other people kind of achieve their goals and their dreams, and motivate and inspire others to do that. I want to be, whether it's I'm writing, some books, because I mean, I love writing. I've done that for my whole life pretty much. And whether it be like writing books and getting that going, even though I have ADHD, so I'll never finish one. But, that's besides the point. I need someone like you to try to help me keep it all on track. But Yeah, getting some books out there, motivational speaking, perhaps like going to different events and being able to actually talk at some of these events, like on the race
Yeah,
weekends, maybe at the hotels or whatever.
I definitely agree
Um,
with that one.
I would love to be able to do that, man, and even have a race team of my own, or just something, a group of people who want to like, do this together type deal. People who want to go far with themselves, who want to push themselves to go further, and maybe even I'll be able to coach and train other people, or maybe a coach will pick up on my ability and want to train me, and maybe someday I'll be in the Olympics, or who knows, man. Like I
I sure
aspire
hope
to
so.
go. I aspire to go as far as I possibly can with what I'm doing right now, but not just for the running aspect, but just for the aspect of just being able to do something more fulfilling in my life right now. Like that's what I want so badly, is to be able to do that, and I'm trying so hard to get to that point, harder than I've ever tried in my whole life, man. And so in the future, that's what I hope, and I'll be able to run and events, even future events like of course, I want to run Boston. Who doesn't? That's a big one. London, of course, that's a huge one. Um, Dallas, Fort Worth, obviously, they're going to have the Dallas Marathon, or White Rock Lake, or whatever, the Dallas Marathon. I'm from there, so obviously I'm going to run a marathon there. And just all the big ones, man. I want to be able to do those, man. Even being in Berlin, Germany, and travel around and do it all, and Tokyo. Just have fun, man. I want to be able to go to these events, do that, and experience it all, man. And also while I'm there, you know, meet and help other people, or help other people get to that point, get to that level. I want to be successful so I can help other people be successful alongside me. It's not just about me, man. So in
Yeah,
the future, that's what I hope for. I hope for success so that I can see other people be successful with me.
definitely. Yeah, I definitely think that you should be a high school speaker. Dang.
Think think
Yeah.
so?
Yeah, man. I'm feeling motivated right now.
Well, it's cool. I'm glad. I have a lot of people come up to me and they say that to me like just recently, and I love it, man. It makes me smile because like I have people come up like, you inspired me, man. I stopped smoking, or I started walking like 15 minutes a day, or I started doing all this stuff, and it's like it's unprompted. I don't say, they just tell me, and it makes me feel some kind of way, man, because it just like when I hear that, it lights me up. Like it really does, because that's what I want to do. Like an experience I'll very briefly share, because I've been going off like crazy. Look, I'll try to keep these brief, but I was at a local track here. It was an indoor track. It's like soccer field. These kids like playing soccer and stuff. And this little kid was kind of like running around the outer edge of the track where I was at the indoor area, because it's cold out here in Minnesota. So of course it's a covered like dome. And I'm running around, and there's this little kid, and he sees me, and he starts trying to like race me. It was really funny, like, of course I was having fun with this. This little kid was just getting into it. He was having a lot of fun, and I was like, oh, man, you kicking my butt, man. You just keep beating me every time. But he was fast. This kid was smoking fast. He really was. I was having to keep up with him. And anyway, I started noticing that he was looking, and he'd look over and he'd see his dad, and I found out his dad was actually on the field. He was like a ref, like a soccer ref, and he's out there like playing. He's making sure his dad could see him. He's trying to show off to his dad, and I guess his dad told him, he's like, hey, my dad says we're like the fastest people out here. We're like faster than everyone out here, and it was just super cool. Like that kid was just lighting up, and I had this moment where I said to him when he was leaving for the day, and he was like leaving, and I said, hey man, no matter what, don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't do something that you want to do in life, because I'm telling you right now, you will do anything that you put your mind to. Always remember that. And it was one of those moments where you know that you impacted a kid's life, because they just, how kids are, they're just a million miles a minute. This kid literally just stopped, and he was just like, he's like, okay, yeah, like he got it. He knew. He held on to that, and he threw out in that, and it was so cool, man. Like that's the type of stuff right there that I want to be able to do, man. I want to be able to impact people's lives in that way, kids, adults, whatever, man. I just want to be able to do that. So it's a huge experience to me that I wanted to share.
Yeah. Well, that is the end of all of the long series questions. And now it's time for some of the more goofy, kind of rapid fire questions, if that's okay with you.
Go ahead. What do you got?
Okay. So, what would you say is your favorite movie?
A favorite movie? That's a really tough one, because I watch I very rarely will watch like a lot of movies, but when I do, I watch them and I'm like, I love this movie. That's my favorite one. And then the next one's my favorite one. And it just kind of goes off. And then I guess, you know what, recently, I think we're just going to go touch on one I can think of recently because I have, ADHD. So I'm like, squirrel. I forget half of everything and remember it later. Was an animated, like, I think it was a Disney animated one. It was Bad Guys. I love that movie. I just thought it was cool. Like, it was just a good story. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but it just touched me. It was kind of funny. Like, I was on a plane and I had the Wi-Fi and they're like, oh, look at this free movie. And I was like, sweet. So I pulled it up, watched it, and it just to keep my mind busy because flying is not my favorite thing. And I loved it. I thought it was an awesome movie, great story. I love movies that have good stories like that, man. So that was The Bad Guys recently. Another one is Bright. I love Bright. Great movie. Love my boy Will Smith. Even though he gets kind of wild, looks like sometimes nowadays, but Bright was a good movie. I liked the message that Bright sent. It was really good. And I loved how they tied it in with like the fantasy stuff and just kind of stuff like that. So there you go. Those are the best answers I can give you right now.
Yeah. No, I actually think that Bad Guys movie is also a really good movie. I've seen it like once. Yeah, it's pretty good actually. What would you say is your favorite fruit?
My favorite fruit. This is a good one. I was prepared for this one. My favorite fruit is pineapple. Here's the reason why. Pineapple. First of all, I just love pineapple. That's the easiest way I can answer. I'll always eat pineapple. But there's a story behind pineapple that I love. Pineapple is one of those things that it literally is a fruit that teaches you a lesson. It teaches you about pushing yourself, or about overindulgence, and about going too far with something. Because pineapple is the kind of thing that'll eat you back, which I think is pretty cool, by the way. But basically, you eat so much pineapple, you're gonna like tear up your mouth, your tongue, like everything. It's the acid. It's gonna destroy your mouth, and it sucks because it's so good and it's awesome. But if you overindulge in it, it teaches you a lesson. It teaches you about overindulgence, and it also teaches you in another way. I think it's a metaphor for life. You overdo something, you're gonna hurt. Just like my running, you overdo it, you're gonna end up hurting yourself. And I think that's very important. So it's a fruit that teaches us a lesson. So, and it's delicious to me anyway.
I like pineapple too, man. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, here we go. If you had to be a fruit, what type of fruit would you be?
Okay. So I was also prepared for this one because these two questions, I was like, what in the world? All right. So this is the one I could not think. I could not remember what the fruit was called. And I ran out of time to look it up before we got on the call. But basically, I think it was dragon fruit. I wanted to say if I could be any fruit. Yeah. And the reason why is this. I think it's a dragon fruit. It's a fruit that's like spiky. It looks spiky on the outside, and it looks like really like kind of intimidating, just like But like it's also like it's inside. It's nice and it's sweet, right? And like for me, I know it's kind of stupid, but like let me put it to you this way: on the outside, man, I look like a person that like I sometimes get told that like, man. Especially when I'm running, they're like, "Dan, you look like you're like determined. You're gonna kill somebody. Like you look mad." And it's true. Like when I'm in the moment, when I'm doing what I do, man, there's rare moments where like I always hear people talk about like smiles for miles and then smile when you run, smile when you run. Man, when I'm running, dude, I'm out there. I'm like, I am just dead set, determined to move. Man, I don't care. I'm pushing through everything I have at the time and everything that's going on in my head. And so on the outside, I look like I'm just really like, like angry, or I look like I could be a mean person. But man, on the inside, it's like I care, like I'm a nice person, and I care a lot about other people, and I'm just how I am. So I think that's a good thing. Like dragon fruit, I think it's called is good. That's what I would choose anyway, I suppose.
Yeah,
and that's why.
I like dragon fruit. My parents hate them. Yeah, we bought
They're good, man.
Oh, I love them. We bought one the other day. We must have eaten it before it ripened 100% because they were like, it's so bitter. I mean, I still enjoyed it, but no, they're good.
You have to be careful. You run right when they're at the right moment. It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah. Even when it was a little like not as sweet, I still really liked it. So.
Yeah, for sure.
What well-known song best describes you?
So, okay, so this one I had to ponder on for a little while because I feel like that changes so often. But right now, the song that resonated the most with me when I had to think about it, it was I can't remember if I say this name right, but Lord Huron or something like that, I believe. Their song, The World Ender, Lord Huron off of Strange Trails, one of my favorite albums, the 2015 album Strange Trails, one of my favorite albums. Love that whole album. Meet Me in the Woods is a great track, love it to death. But The World Ender is just one of those tracks that like it really just I felt like it really just kind of not all the way because a song lyrics don't always fully resonate, but for the most part it's kind of like the story that it's telling, how it feels like everything was kind of taken away from this person and everything was taken, but now they're back with a vengeance and they're here. They got a bone to pick with everyone and they're ready to go. And that's how I feel like, man. Like I went through hell, like a lot, and then last year and into this year and moving forward. I'm back with a vengeance, man. I'm fighting like crazy. So World Ender, definitely, I love that track, man. Love the lyrics. I love how energetic it is in the beginning, man. Love running to that song too. Good song to run to. Come straight out the gate with full energy. Great track. So yeah World Ender for sure. Yes, for sure.
What would you say your favorite fast food chain is, and what is your order there?
My favorite fast food chain. That's a good one. Let's see. It's funny because back in the day it was like, what fast food place isn't my favorite? Now it's kind of hard. I guess nowadays. Okay, let's put it this way. I guess can we consider like some of these like more fast foody like pizza chains to be fast food? Because I love pizza.
Sure.
Thing. I love like homemade pizzas and whatever out here. I'm gonna miss. There's so many good pizza places out here, but I would get Papa John's. It was just one of those things where I love their pizza, man. Because they're the closest like to decent like non-frozen out of the freezer dough that you can get, because they actually make their own dough, which is pretty dope. I love that about them. But always pepperoni black olives every time, all the time. Got to have the garlic dipping sauce and the extra pepperoncinis. That's literally, that's my life. Because when I'm having my cheat day, when I'm just chilling, when I'm doing whatever I want to do, bro, I'll be eating that pizza. I have to refrain from getting a large. I got to do like a medium, because if I want to eat the whole thing, at least then I'm controlled enough. But like I have to like go for a full day of pretty much just snacking before I hit that pizza. And I'm like, yeah, it's all mine. But no, I love it, man. It's like one of my favorites. I used to get it all the time growing up. My grandmother would order it all. I'd go visit her on the weekends and she'd order it. Oh man, those are my favorite. So definitely for me, because I don't eat a lot of fast food anymore, but that's definitely always still my go-to if I get pizza. If I don't have the ability to get like a more like decent, good one.
Yeah. Okay. I love this question too, man. I just love all these goofy ones. What is your favorite? What is your favorite Chinese takeout dish?
My favorite Chinese takeout dish?
Yeah.
General Tso's chicken, I want to say. I love it because it's spicy, a little spicy sweet. And gotta have the fried rice for sure, vegetable fried rice. I'm not really a lo mein person, definitely fried rice. Gotta have me a egg roll on the side for sure. And if they got soup, I gotta get some hot sour soup. Love it. That's definitely my thing. That's my go-to right there.
Yeah. Okay, last two questions. So,
got it.
This question comes from my favorite TV show, which is Chuck. If you were on a deserted island and could have one sandwich with you, what kind would it be? Please keep in mind that you're going to eat this sandwich every day.
Every day?
Yep.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. Oh, that's a good one.
And, yes, Ryan did say Philly cheesesteak.
Of course, I knew it. You didn't have to tell me. I knew it. If it was anything else, I'd have been shocked. Let's see here. What would it be for me? Probably. Man, I'm very simple when it comes to like the sandwich stuff and what I like. I gotta have me the old school like Italian, just an Italian sub, man. You gotta have your pepperoni, maybe you have your capicola, you're gonna have some salami. You're gonna have the whole thing on there. It's gonna be just a whole mixture. You get some mozzarella, some fresh mozz, and you just do it up really good, man, on a nice like I don't know. Some sort of, it's got to be like homemade bread, or white bread, some sort of homemade, but yeah, man, just something like that. Like, yeah, of course you got your veggies on it, maybe some whatever's whatever. But yeah, if I had to eat that sandwich, I would definitely, I'd be okay with eating that sandwich the rest of my life, man. Because at least there's always a little bit of variety in there, man. The flavor's always good. So I'll go
Yeah,
with it.
I'm on the same train.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Now, this last question, kind of pull it back and go back to the seriousness. So, we've already talked about a lot of motivational things, but if you had
Sure.
to really tie it up, what would be like the one thing? And then this goes in with like me saying, hey, yeah, you should go talk at high schools. What advice would you have for like high school students as far as that goes?
The best advice that I could give to high school students. Um, it kind of ties hand in hand with what I said because I have a lot of experience when it comes to, because I'm 28, so I've been through high school already, and I kind of went through a lot of that crap whenever I was there. Um, no matter what it is that you do in your life, you're always going to have somebody who is, you're always going to find there's people that are going to try and tell you that you can't do something because you're not cut out for it. You're not meant to do it. You're not, whatever it is, it's not for you. And I'm here to tell you, and I'm a living example of that. That is a lie. You can do anything that you set your mind to, and I mean anything. If you put your mind to it and you put in the work, you can get there. It takes a lot. And you know what? For some of us, it takes a lot more than others. But if you put your mind to it and you focus in on it and you want it bad enough and you push to achieve it, you can do it. It doesn't matter what it is. Whether you want to be, whether you want to be a doctor, whether you want to be I don't know, a neurosurgeon, or whether you want to go into chemistry, or whether you want to be like me and, run road races and all this other crazy stuff, or whether you want to be a pilot or a veterinarian or whatever it is, it doesn't matter, man. If you want to be a writer, even in a band, you want to make music, do whatever it is. Set out to do whatever it is that you want to do, and don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it because of whatever reason. Don't let any of that noise ever affect you from getting to the point that you want to get to, because we only have a limited amount of time in this world, and it's not worth it to stop yourself from being whatever it is you want to be, because if you do, someday you're going to look back and you're going to think about all the time that you wasted trying to get to that, that you could have been doing to get to that point. And yeah, sure, you could still do it later, but it's going to be a heck of a lot harder for you down the road. So don't ever let anybody tell you you can't do something. Just put your mind to it and do it. Be who you want to be, do what you want to do, and you'll be happy in life.
There you go. Great answer. Now,
Appreciate it.
as you might have can tell, I've gone through all of the questions on my list. So now,
Yep.
if you would like, I'm going to pass the mic over to you. If you have anything else you want to say, any questions for me or anything like that.
Actually, I was going to ask you this just because I'm curious about it, because I heard about this podcast, obviously, through Ryan and through the rest of the group and the music stuff. What inspired you to start doing this podcast? Why did you start doing this?
Ooh, okay. So there's kind of like a serious answer to this and kind of a stupid answer as well. So I'll do both.
Go ahead.
So the serious one, when I'm older, and I used to say I want to, but I stopped saying that. When I'm older, I will be in the radio business, no matter what it takes.
Okay.
I'm going to be in radio. And that's just something I really want to do, and I'm going to do it. So this is called The Opening Act with Brandon Hilder. And this is the opening act to my career. That's why I picked that name. It's what I'm going to do when I'm older, what I'm really passionate about. And yeah, it's been a huge learning experience. And that's kind of why I wanted to do it. Because really, I have no experience with anything radio. I just really wanted to do it. So I was like, if I want to do this, I have to learn how to do it, and I have to learn to actually like to do it, because I don't want to start it and hate it. So yeah, this
There you
has
go.
just been a huge whole learning experience.
Beautiful. I love that, man. That's awesome.
And now,
And that's exactly why you will be successful.
and now the stupid answer.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so last semester in school, I was a TA, so teacher's aide, for the chemistry teacher. And
Okay.
during her class, I would just pretty much sit in the laboratory doing nothing. And one day, I got kind of bored, and I started watching a kind of a documentary about the Strokes. And
Okay.
it just really inspired me. I was like, dang, I would love to get to like hear stories from these guys and get to hear stories from other musicians. And I was like, oh, hey, what the heck? Let me start an interview show. So that day I sent out my first 5 emails and I got a person ready that day. And I was like just loosely, I didn't even know what I was doing yet. Didn't even have a type of recording set up. And just kind of went super quick. I've been doing this since December is when I even first had the idea of doing this. So yeah, those are the answers.
You're doing a bang up job, man. You really are, because everything I've listened to, I've went through and listened to quite a few of what podcasts. I love podcasts. I listen to like JRE, and there's a few others I'll listen to, just random ones, but that's the big one that I listen to. But I love listening to podcasts, man. And then you've got that. It flows really well. You do really good. So that's awesome, dude. I'm glad that I could be a part of the beginning of your journey. And it is so beautiful, man. I've been a part of the beginning of Ryan's in the part of the beginning of mine. Now here you are. And then I'm also, this is what it's all about to me, man. This is awesome. It's all about being able to be there at the beginning of everyone's stuff, man. So that's good for you. I'm happy for you, man. You did a great job, and this has been an awesome experience to be a part of this. And this is my first ever, like, podcast, like, talk, interview, whatever you want to call it. This has been cool, man. I've had a lot of fun. So I really appreciate you giving me this opportunity to have this experience, because I don't know how many more of these I'm going to get. Hopefully more, but it's been nice to have that experience for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You'll get more. Trust me. Once you're out in the Olympics or whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We gotta chip some time away from these finish times, but we'll get there.
Oh, man. Well, like you've told me all today, when you put forward that dedication, and yeah, you'll get there. You can do
Absolutely,
it,
man.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to have me on here. This has been a great time. I've really had a good time, man.
Yeah, this has been a great conversation. Yeah, thank you for joining me and doing this with me. Yeah.
For sure. Oh, and if anybody, whoever cheers this, anybody's interested, they want to keep up with me, you can always check me out. I'm on a lot of different social media platforms. I tried to put myself on every single one of them just so I could be reached in all mediums, but I'm not the best at managing them all myself. The most 2 frequent you'll find me on will be Facebook and Instagram. You can find me under just my name, Damien Zachary Lovria, my middle name, or my page, Damien Runs a Lot, or Damien Runs a Lot on Instagram. All one word, all together. So, yeah, that's how everyone can keep up with me and kind of my updates. I'm on Snapchat as well. It's always Damien Runs a Lot most of the time on most of my social media platforms, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, all those. But yeah, so just throwing that out there for people if they want to keep up with some of this stuff. That's where I do a lot of my posting of all my stats and all my times and photos and motivational stuff and whatnot. Trying to get better about doing the TikTok motivational video stuff, but it's really hard. It's not easy. I'm just gonna put it that way. I'm trying.
Yeah, it is hard. Oh man, yeah. All the freaking time that goes in those. You watch me, you don't realize it, but yeah.
Yeah, and I hate it because it's too time consuming. I'm one of those people that it's just like I just want to take a photo, make a post, type up some stuff, and bam, I'm done. I set it down and I move on. I hate sitting there feeling like I'm getting sucked into this. I don't want to do this. I just want to boop and go. Like if I ever get big enough to where I have someone manage the social media aspect for me, because I do not want to be stuck on social media all day long. Of course, I still want to connect with people in my own way. Of course, I still want to talk to people on messages and stuff like that. But I do not want to constantly have to sit there and do all the updates to everything, because it drives me nuts even now doing it. So
yeah, I would definitely say that sitting here and editing these podcasts, that is definitely strengthened me in my patience and my ability to deal with editing. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I tried not to. I tried not to let my tongue slip too many times, so you don't have to do much editing work in that regard. I try to be careful about that. But yeah, sometimes you just get going and you're like, oh, oops.
Yeah. Once again, thank you so much for talking to me. And yeah, that was an absolute blast. It was really good to hear your stories and what motivates you. Yeah.
Yeah. No, hey, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on here. Like I said earlier, it was a great time. Great first time experience for me. And then it was awesome all around. So I really appreciate you giving me this time. And I wish you all the best with what you've got, with your plans and everything. And you're going to go far, man. You've already got it nailed down. So just like I said, earlier, the same advice goes to you. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're going to go far with it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Well, yeah, thank you again. And I hope you have a great rest of your night. And I wish you great luck with all your future races and just everything in the future that comes for you. And yeah.
Sweet. I appreciate it, Brandon. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you. And yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your night. And I guess I'll talk to you later, man.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Okay. See you later then. Bye. Wow, that truly was a really fun episode to film. Yeah, Damien had a lot of good input and a lot of good answers. And before you go, guys, I just wanted to say, please don't feel afraid to like and subscribe, comment, share, all those things, because they really do help me. And, when you press the subscribe button, you're helping a high schooler with his dreams, so keep that in mind. And then with that, please go check out Damien's social media. That was Damien Runs a Lot. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your night.